A 1970s tractor with 500,000 miles on the clock just dragged a fully loaded grain wagon up a muddy hill that a brand new $300,000 machine refused to touch. Farmers across the country are ditching their dealer payments and going back to iron that was built before computers told engines what to do. These aren't museum pieces, they're working machines, pulling stumps, breaking sod, and moving loads that should be impossible for their age. What engineers built decades ago was so over-engineered, so brutally reliable, that even today's top-spec tractors struggle to match them pull for pull. Number 10. John Deere 4020. The John Deere 4020 is one of the most important tractors ever built. Introduced in 1964 as part of Deere's new generation lineup, the 4020 was rated at 91 horsepower from a 404 cubic inch diesel engine. Over its production run, power options included gasoline, LP gas, and diesel variants. What made the 4020 a legend was its combination of operator comfort. It introduced one of the first true operator stations in the industry, and its raw pulling ability. The diesel version produced around 94 drawbar horsepower in Nebraska tractor tests, which was exceptional for its era. Today, 4020s with original power plants regularly participate in antique tractor pulls and routinely move loads that embarrass more modern machines in the same horsepower class. The direct injection diesel engine is virtually indestructible when maintained, and parts remain widely available. A well-kept 4020 can still pull a 4-bottom plow through heavy clay soil without breaking a sweat. Millions were built, and millions are still working. Number 9. International Harvester 1456. The International Harvester 1456 was a short production rocket. Built for only 3 years, it was IH's answer to the horsepower wars of the late 1960s. The 1456 was powered by a turbocharged version of IH's D407 diesel engine, producing 131 horsepower at the PTO. What made the 1456 exceptional in pulling competitions then and now is its torque multiplication. The turbo was relatively large for its time, and the engine was built with enough internal strength to handle serious abuse. The 1456 was also built heavy, tipping the scales at around 16,000 pounds with ballast. It had tremendous traction on any surface. In antique tractor pulls held across the Midwest today, 1456 tractors are consistent class winners. Farmers who still run them in the field report that they'll pull a 5-bottom plow in conditions where lighter modern machines bog down. The 1456's short production run makes it relatively rare, which only adds to its reputation. When one shows up at a pull, experienced competitors take notice. Number 8. Oliver 1955. Oliver doesn't get the same recognition as John Deere or IH in popular culture, but among serious tractor people, the Oliver 1955 is spoken about with deep respect. This machine was powered by a 585 cubic inch diesel engine, one of the largest displacements ever put into a row crop tractor, producing around 147 horsepower. The sheer displacement of the engine meant the 1955 produced torque figures that were almost absurd for its era. It didn't need to rev high to move a load. Low-end grunt was its signature characteristic. The 1955 also featured an 18-speed transmission, giving operators incredibly fine control over ground speed and power delivery. In field pulling tests, the Oliver 1955 has been documented pulling loads equivalent to what 200 horsepower modern tractors are rated for, particularly in conditions where traction and torque matter more than peak horsepower. The engine, built by Oliver's parent company White, was engineered for longevity and power with no concern for fuel efficiency. That single-minded focus on performance is why the 1955 still turns heads today. Number 7. Minneapolis-Moline G1000. Minneapolis-Moline was always an innovator, and the G1000 was the pinnacle of their engineering before the brand began to fade. Powered by a 504 cubic inch diesel engine producing around 101 horsepower, the G1000 was later upgraded to the G1000 Vista and then the G1050, which pushed output even higher. What set tractors apart was their build philosophy. Minneapolis-Moline over-engineered virtually everything. Frames were heavier than necessary, drivelines were beefed up beyond what the horsepower required, and axle components were built to handle loads far beyond the tractor's rated capacity. The G1000 in the field is a slow-speed, high-torque machine that simply grinds through obstacles. Operators who run them report that the tractor will lug down, find traction, and move loads rather than spinning out. A characteristic that separates truly capable pulling tractors from machines that simply make noise and spin tires. The relative scarcity of parts has kept some G1000s off the field, but those that are maintained are formidable workers. Number 6. Ford 9000. Ford's 9000 was a bold step for a company known primarily for smaller utility tractors. The 9000 was powered by a 401 cubic inch turbocharged diesel producing around 131 horsepower, and it was aimed directly at the large acreage farmer who needed serious pulling power without spending IH or Deere money. The Ford 9000 was lighter than some of its competitors, which was actually by design. Ford engineers believed that a lighter tractor with good weight distribution would be more fuel efficient and just as capable. In many conditions, they were right. The 9000's power-to-weight ratio allowed it to pull efficiently in conditions where heavier tractors wasted fuel fighting their own mass. In tractor pulling competitions, the 9000 consistently surprises crowds because it doesn't look like a puller. It lacks the imposing bulk of the IH or Oliver machines of its era. But the turbocharged engine, combined with smart weight placement, allows it to transmit power to the ground efficiently. Ford 9000s are still actively farmed in parts of the Great Plains, where their pulling capability remains commercially relevant. Number 5. Case 1470 Traction King. The Case 1470 Traction King was a four-wheel drive machine built for one purpose: moving massive loads across difficult terrain. Powered by a Case turbocharged diesel producing 175 horsepower, the 1470 was one of the most capable agricultural machines of its era. Four-wheel drive changes the pulling equation fundamentally. Every axle is driven, every wheel contributes to traction, and the machine can utilize its full weight as drawbar pull. The 1470 weighed over 20,000 pounds and could pull loads that articulated competitors from the same era couldn't approach. What's remarkable about the 1470 today is that its basic mechanical package, the engine, the transmission, the axle differentials, was built so robustly that well-maintained examples are still doing commercial work. Deep tillage, heavy draft equipment, pulling on steep hillsides, these are conditions where the 1470's four-wheel drive system and raw torque still give it advantages over two-wheel drive modern machines with similar power ratings. The Traction King name wasn't marketing, it was a description. Number 4. Allis-Chalmers 7080. Allis-Chalmers built the 7080 as their flagship during one of the most competitive periods in agricultural history. Powered by a turbocharged and intercooled 426 cubic inch diesel producing around 181 horsepower at the PTO, the 7080 was one of the most powerful two-wheel drive tractors of its era. The intercooler made a critical difference. By cooling the compressed air from the turbocharger before it entered the engine, the 7080 could run more fuel, produce more power, and maintain that power for longer without overheating. This was advanced technology for a production farm tractor in 1974, and it gave the 7080 a sustained pulling capability that competitors without intercoolers couldn't match over long pulls. In antique pulling classes today, 7080 tractors are serious competitors. The engine's internal components were built to handle the stress of intercooled turbo pressure, and properly rebuilt examples produce power figures that surprise people accustomed to seeing only the nameplate rating. Allis-Chalmers may have gone bankrupt in 1985, but the 7080 they left behind is a lasting monument to their engineering ability. Number 3. Steiger Panther. The Steiger Panther is in a different category from everything else on this list. Steiger was a family-built company from North Dakota that started making four-wheel drive articulated tractors in 1969 because farmers in the Red River Valley needed something that didn't exist yet, a machine powerful and maneuverable enough to farm the enormous flat clay-heavy fields of the northern plains. Steiger Panthers were built in multiple configurations, with the most powerful models carrying Cummins or Caterpillar diesel engines producing anywhere from 225 to over 350 horsepower. The articulated frame design allowed the tractor to put all four wheels to work simultaneously, and the Steiger engineers built the drivetrain to handle the full torque of those massive engines without failures. What makes the Panther remarkable today is that it represented American agricultural engineering at its most innovative. These weren't farm equipment, they were industrial-grade machines designed for farming. Original Steiger Panthers, still working today, have accumulated hundreds of thousands of hours. Their pulling capability in deep tillage applications still exceeds many modern machines of similar power, simply because the Steiger's frame, axles, and drivetrain were built with margins that modern cost-optimized machines don't always match. Number 2. John Deere 4840. The John Deere 4840 was the successor to the famous 4430 and represented Deere's peak two-wheel drive pulling machine before the company transitioned to the Iron Gator era designs. Powered by a turbocharged and intercooled 619 cubic inch diesel, producing 180 horsepower, the 4840 was a genuine powerhouse. What puts the 4840 at number 2 is its combination of power, weight, reliability, and the sheer number that were built and are still working. This isn't a rare machine. Tens of thousands were produced, which means parts are available, mechanics know them, and examples can be found in working condition across North America. In pulling competitions, 4840s are among the most consistent performers in the antique classes. The intercooled engine responds well to basic modifications and produces power that challenges anything in its weight class, modern or vintage. In field conditions, the 4840's pulling capability was so well regarded that many farmers who bought them new have simply never stopped using them. When a machine can do the work after 45 years of service, it has proven its capability beyond any test number. Number 1. International Harvester 1568. The IH-1568 sits at the top of this list because it was the most powerful two-wheel drive tractor built in America during the height of the horsepower wars, and because its performance record in competition and in the field has never been adequately explained by its official specifications. The 1568 was powered by IH's V8 diesel engine. Yes, a V8, displacing 798 cubic inches and producing a factory-rated 145 horsepower. But those who have tested, pulled, and worked 1568s extensively will tell you that the factory rating was conservative. The V8 diesel produced torque on a curve that made it an extraordinary pulling machine. It didn't spike and fall off like smaller turbocharged engines. It pulled hard and kept pulling, all the way through its power band. The 1568 was also built at a time when IH was spending engineering money freely. Components throughout the tractor were massively overbuilt. The rear axle, the transmission, the final drives, all of it was built to handle loads beyond what the engine was supposed to generate. That engineering margin is what makes the 1568 a competition legend today. In organized, antique tractor pulls, 1568s have beaten tractors with significantly higher horsepower ratings. In the field, farmers who still operate them report that the V8 diesel's torque characteristics are simply different from anything else they've used. It doesn't fight the ground, it moves through it. And that, more than any specification number, is what defines a truly exceptional pulling tractor. So that's it for today. If you like this video, then please hit the like and subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching.